In case everybody forgot, Fan of a Fan wasn't the only thing to drop today. And the second review of the day is Big Sean's Dark Sky Paradise. And yes, I do have the deluxe edition. Now, I kind of have a different opinion on Big Sean than most do. I actually think that he's never going to be one of the best rappers. But for what he does, Big Sean is actually a very good rapper. In all his albums, he always picks good beats. It just depends on what he does with the beat that leads to if the song is good or not. His debut, Finally Famous, I hated with passion. I thought that was complete garbage, and out of all those songs, all I kept was Marvin Gaye and Chardonnay. Second album, Hall of Fame. Thought it was an improvement, still kind of on the average side, but it had more tracks that I was putting on repeats than Finally Famous did, and it was improvement. He was getting better with the lyrics, and he was cutting out his annoying ad libs. And now we come to album 3, Dark Sky Paradise. As you can tell by the title and the cover art, this album does have a darker tone than Sean's previous two. Excuse me, it has a darker tone than those two do. It's kind of, and it's honestly, in a kind of a surprise, it's actually a more introspective album, and that's something I really like that artists do, is when they get introspective on, it doesn't even have to be the whole album, when they just get introspective on certain songs or the whole album, it's definitely a plus, and it makes me more eager to hear what they're talking about with the album. And the album actually kicks off with a very, very nice intro and fierce lyrics from Big Sean. Dark Sky Skyscrapers is the intro to the album, and it sets the tone for the album perfectly. Like, you know what you're getting into, what you're about to listen to, just by the way the dark beat that it has, and the simple fact that Sean is not holding anything back. He's just spitting fire lyrics all throughout the intro, and it's a short 3-minute intro, but it's enough to get you ready to hear the rest of the album and what he wants to say on it. Please excuse the camera shaking. Now, the production on the album is mainly, I mean, he's good music, so Kanye had to have a hand in the production, and I'm actually not mad at that because Kanye's always had good production, and I say always because I actually did enjoy the Yeezus album. So Kanye has always had good productions, and it hasn't changed here, as he handled most of the production for this album, and he did a great job with kind of keeping with the dark tone that's going all throughout the album, at least on the normal 12 anyway. And he actually has one of his best verses in recent years on the track All Your Fault, which is kind of talking about, it's kind of like Big Sean looking at his failed relationship, and same thing with Kanye. Like, they're both looking at their failed relationships and kind of rapping about that. Kanye singing the chorus, which, I mean, Kanye singing is hit or miss. I personally love it. I don't mind the auto tune when he does it because it's done artistically, so I can get with that. That's one of my favorite tracks on the album. Please excuse me, my voice has been getting out for a few days. Of course, the lead single, I Don't F With You, with E40, we've all heard it, and most of us really love it. If you somehow haven't heard that, I don't know how you managed to avoid hearing it, and I would love to know how so I can avoid other songs that I dislike. But I Don't F With You is definitely a standout song, and when you put it in the context of the album, especially considering it comes after All Your Fault in the track list, it definitely has a spot on the album, and it makes what I love is, like, where the singles that came out before the album, they were all sequenced like perfectly, so they don't feel out of place with what they're coming after. Like, some albums you'll have a single, and where it's placed in the album, it doesn't make sense when you look at the song that came before it. This isn't the case here. the extended version of Paradise. It hasn't changed much. If you heard the other version, it's almost the same. He did add another verse for the album cut of the track, and the verse he added for the album, all I'm gonna say is fire. And it's just, you ever wanted to hear Sean fast rap, go look at that verse because it's very, very well done. Then we get to like the kind of songs I was kind of like about. Win Some Lose Some. The the verses are good, but the hook, and it's not because of Janae Aiko. Like her voice is beautiful when when she does choruses, but Sean harmonizing on the track kind of kills it a little bit. Like it doesn't, it's not bad, and it really doesn't hurt the track as much. But when you hear it, it's just kind of jarring, and you honestly don't know how to feel about it. And then Stay Down, Stay Down to me is kind of like what Stay Down on this album to me is what 10 to 10 was on Hall of Fame. Like it's just Sean singing and then he's yelling all over the chorus like, and it's just, and it turns into a mess of a track that even I can't be bothered to praise because it's just oh, why did you do that? That's all I can say to it. Now, with the deluxe edition songs, the deluxe edition songs kind of veer away from the dark tone a little bit. Not a lot, but kind of somewhat where it's at least getting a bit lighter. Especially on Research with his current girlfriend Ariana Grande. Now y'all know how I am with Ariana Grande. I always gravitate toward those collabs with her. And this one I did not know how an Ariana collab was gonna sound on a Big Sean album. But I'm pleasantly surprised, and it's pretty much about how it's one of those tracks where Sean's getting introspective on a relationship, and he's basically talking about how this girl is just using him for his money and fame, and then Ariana comes in with the chorus, basically asking who she's in a relationship with. Do you remember when you had nothing to hide? We could just be with each other. You guys had nothing to hide, and it's a very, very good track. And I honestly wish it was part of the normal edition of the album because I feel like this could be sequenced in a way in the normal 12 that it could have fit in there. Deserve It with Party Next Door is a very good song, very good. And what I love about this album is that one, it makes you want to put it on repeat. Like you want to keep. This is one of those albums where you get done listening to it and you want to hear it again. Like you just want to keep putting it on repeat because it's such a good album. Two, it's a very, very smooth listen. Like some albums, whether they're 12, 15, 18, 20 songs, some albums have that flow where it's not bad, but it's jarring of a listen, and you'll listen to the songs, but you'll never want to hear the album in full because when you listen to it front to back, it's just too jarring and it's too like just all over the place. It's not a cohesive thing. But this one is actually very cohesive. It's a very smooth listen from front to back. And I can honestly say that Sean actually exceeded expectations on this one. This is his best. I'm not gonna say best project because I haven't heard some of his mixtapes, but this is his best studio album that he's dropped yet. And I highly recommend that whether you're a Big Sean fan or not, you give this album a listen, and I guarantee you will at least find a couple tracks that you will love. And if you're a fan, you're definitely gonna love this album. And I think anyone that's like looking for like an introspective album, this is what you want to hear right now. This is definitely a good album, and it's a nice addition to 2015's hip hop roster, which is on a freaking roll so far this year, to be perfectly honest. But that's it for now. Deuces.